We are talking about, and I was going to make this a seatbelt chronicle, and I'll probably do that later on. Today's topic is about comparing apples to oranges, right? Comparing apples to oranges. One of the greatest crimes that women commit amongst each other is comparing our apples or her oranges to our apples. One of the greatest crimes that we commit as business women, and even just in business general, is when we start to compare our apples or their apples to our oranges, however you want to place it. And so here's one thing that I really want us to think about when it comes to this whole comparison thing. It's easy to fall into play with the competing, but it's, let me see something that's saying bad connection. Okay, there we go. It's easy to fall into the comparison when you see yourself traveling down the road and you may see some results or you may not, but then you see someone else who's getting results and then you start to question what you're doing. But let me tell you something. It's a different process to grow oranges and it's a different process to grow apples. Both processes work well. Both processes can bear fruit. But one thing we cannot do is compare her apple tree to what's going on and how we're growing our oranges, right? And so that crime, when we look and dig deeper, let's dig a little deeper, right? And so maybe this will support some of you who this crime has been committed against you, or you've been a victim of this crime, or you are committing this crime. The crime is comparison, right? One thing we do know is authenticity has no competition, but let's keep it real, right? The way society even grooms our children from growing up, our young girls from growing up, is comparing the light and the dark, the skinny and the thick, the tall and the short, the fast and the slow, the smart and those who are still learning. But what happens when you go into business, now you start to compare your talents and your gift. And that's like asking God to compete with himself. How can we say, well, God, my gift is in writing, her gift is in speaking. One is not less than the other, because then we're saying that God is not great and he hasn't created something great within us. So each and every one of our talents, gifts, skills, and abilities are great because they were given to us. And so therefore we cannot compare what God has given us with another gift that God has given someone else. Easy to say, right? But let's dig a little deeper. Let's dig a little deeper. When we let me see something. I see some strange people who come in here. Making sure we knock out the strange. When we look at the dynamics of the comparison, it can almost be, and this is where it's a crime, when we are looking at someone who, when we want to knock or compare what we have going on with someone else, or if someone is comparing themselves with you and they don't know the importance of what you do and why you do it. What do I mean by that? So if I begin to compare myself with another speaker, author, or coach out there, I'm not competing with her as a woman. I'm competing with, for example, she's a single mom. I'm competing with her and her bank account. So therefore, it's not even impacting only her, right? Because some people say, well, you shouldn't, or, you're comparing yourself to her, but you don't know that one client that she needs could possibly feed her family for a month. And sometimes what we don't know is also that one opportunity where we see them rocking it out on stage, we don't know that they have studied and worked hard to prepare for that presentation, because that one presentation is the reason why she didn't commit suicide or she didn't lose her mind that night. So we can't really look at comparing, and that's why we can't take away from each other. We can't get into this, I'm going to copycat and duplicate, because we have to allow people to be great. We have to allow each other as women to be great in what we do. If I copycat someone who's worked hard on her brand, I am taking away from the mouths that she has to feed. I'm taking away from her nation that she is building and the village that she's created. So it's not so much where, you know what, I like this, I'm going to swipe this and I'm going to take it from her. You are literally stripping away the confidence that it took her years to build. Do you know how long it takes someone to even get the confidence to build a business and build a brand? And so when the women on women crime, when it comes to comparison and not the comparison and not collaborating and not helping her to complete her process, when we look at it from a place of, you know what, that should have been me, we can't do that. Right? Because that's the crime right there. The word is powerful. The thought is powerful alone. Then the word cuts. And so we don't want to cut off another family, another nation, another village from growing because we don't understand why we haven't reached a certain level in our business and in our life. And so that's why we can't go into this whole comparison thing. It gets very, very deep when you look at it from a perspective of, you know what, well, I see what she's doing. Hey, let them grow. And if you can lend some support and advice to support them in growing, by all means, open up your mouth and say something, write something, share something, because they need to hear it. We have to get in a habit of encouraging each other even more than we are looking at a way to compare and to divide. It's easy to compare and well, this is me. And, you know, it gets really nasty sometimes. But when we have those who are duplicators, copycatters, replicators, and they don't want to work hard on putting their process together, or they feel like, well, what she has going on is good. You know what? I'm just going to be a carbon copy of that. How can you ever find your own path? How can you ever really operate in your true gifting and in your true calling if you are constantly in a position of taking a piece of everybody else and never becoming a whole you? Right? And so this message is for those who have been a victim of the comparison to the point where it took. We could say, you know, it didn't take anything from me because God is abundant, but it hurts when it happens to you. And it's not flattery, right? It's not flattery. It hurts when it happens because it stops. It does something to some people and their spirit and their confidence that they've built and the brand that they've worked hard on and the things that they prayed for. And just because someone wants to be less creative and they want to come and swipe, it's a dirty game. Truly a dirty, dirty game, because we don't know how hard it took for that woman to get the guts, to find the time, sleepless nights, endless prayers, pushing forward, constant questions, limited answers. Let's be real. Then to have another woman give a side eye or question her calling. You never question another woman's calling. Never question another woman's journey. Never question another woman's quest. Never question another woman's process. Let her work through it. Don't knock her down. Don't copycat her. Don't duplicate her, because you don't know what's going on, the reason why she's working so hard to get to where she's at. So we can say, you know what? I know some people in my industry and you know, they're doing this, they're doing that. You know what? Let me take that and do this. You know, that can get real. You know, I remember when I first started out in business, I started out full time in 2006. In 2009, my heart was broken, bleeding inside. It felt like I got an alert that someone has swiped the content from my website and put it on their website. So the reasons why this hurt and cut to the core is, one, because I worked hard in coming up with the content. I've invested endless nights, time, energy, in putting the website together. I've worked, and I was a single mother at that time, so every nickel, dime, and penny mattered. And to have someone want to duplicate and take and copy my content from my website and put it on their website tore me down, because I did not want to be in a position where someone is looking at me on someone else's page and then looking at them and saying, hey, you guys do the same. I didn't even want to be in that arena. So it hurt me for that main reason. One, because I worked hard for my brand. Two, the other reason it hurt because it was another woman who did it. And she was much older than I was. Age, it doesn't matter, but she was much older than I was. And I was like, why not ask me? You see that I teach others on how to do this thing. Why not ask me instead of taking the content from my website? And then the third reason why is because she lied about it and then end up trying to fight me for my information. But I had to show her my name is still on your website. It's verbatim of what you do, what you're saying you do, and what I do. So I'll tell you, this was like in 2009. And it wasn't as savvy as now, like where you can have Copyscape and all this other stuff. But to see someone else swipe my site, I felt like she done took my man. You know, and so it tore me apart. And I had some friends tell me, you know what, that's flattery. You know, they're watching you. I said, to hell with that. This hurts. This hurts. And so my point in this message is that we have our journey. You have a garden, you know, your apples and her oranges, they're both fruit. They're both edifying. They're both great. One is red, one is orange. It may be different colors. The same person may like both of the gardens, right? So you can appeal to the same market, but the people who are coming for her oranges love the citrus taste, and those who are coming for your apples love that sweet, crunchy bite. So when we look at it from oranges and apples, understand sometimes we may cross and intersect and have the same market appetite at a time, but understand that your taste, your flavor, your garden has a certain appeal. People are coming to your garden for a reason, a specific reason. Your oranges are red and crunchy, or your apples are red and crunchy, or your apples are green and have a little tart, but they're just so good, the best that you can put in pies, right? She may have oranges. Man, she can make orange juice. She can do the orange peels. It has a distinct smell. It makes everything smell fresh. So here's the thing. We cannot compare our garden of apples and her garden of oranges. If we focus on tending to our garden and not focusing on how fast her oranges are growing and her crops are growing and how maybe slow process our apples are growing, we'll be able to create even more space and opportunities. Because here's the thing, if you feel like your process is going slow in terms of growth, it's a matter of what are you doing with your slow growth in that process. Because sometimes the thing that takes a while, you can really maximize. And, one of my clients, Chef Cheese, he said it takes 30 days to make I forgot what he said. He said something like it takes 30 days to make a Buick. It takes 3 months. It takes 30 days to build a Buick and 3 months to build a Porsche, something like that, he said. And so here's the thing. The slow process doesn't mean that it's still not of quality, but you can start creating and servicing and supporting within that slow process to say, listen, you could create a hot demand for when it comes out. Just because it seems like theirs is popping off, your time will come too. How about your time is there? You know, people always say your time will come, your time will come. What if your time is here, but because it doesn't seem like it's moving like a rabbit, or it's not quick, fast, in a hurry, you're not getting, these emails is not coming as fast as you want. These invitations are not coming as fast as you want. How about let's stop saying our time is coming. Because the last time I checked, the time is here. Yeah. It's 5:53 Eastern time PM here. So your time is here already. What are you doing with your time? How are you tending to your garden with your time? Now, whether you are tending to your garden by watching somebody else's garden grow and how fast and the long lines that they have, I'm using this as an analogy, or you could focus on tending to your garden and what you're going to do every time something new sprouts out in your garden. How are you leveraging, maximizing, scaling, marketing, showcasing, loving on your sprouts and your moments that you can turn into momentum? So even in the slow process, even in where you feel like the sun is not shining on your side of the earth, right? And on your side of the business, because keep it real, that's what happens. But you start feeling like that sometime, like, man, where's the sun over here? Where's the water in my garden, God? But let's stay focused on tending to our own gardens and make sure that we comb through any thoughts, comb through our heart space to make sure we are not competing with someone who is stepping into their craft, with someone who is working on nation building, working on their village, working on changing their lives. Because here's the thing. If you might swipe from her, you might complain about her at the wrong time to the wrong person, and it can cut her off in a moment that she needs it the most. And yes, she'll still be blessed. But man, what kind of weight is that on you? How many times we may have committed crimes against other women and children that we haven't even met, because we're looking at the exterior and not so much of the journey and who's connected and attached to her. So every story has chapters, pages, words, sentences, and lines. And so that's why we have to, when a woman says, listen, you don't even know, like, we don't. We take the smile for granted. But we always want to ask another woman. I urge you this week to ask another woman, how can I support you? And if she doesn't have an answer, that's fine. But you want to make sure, one, you comb through your mind, your thoughts, your actions, how you are operating, and making sure that you are not charged by competition and comparison, but you are charged in collaborating and helping women to be complete. That's big girl drawers right there. That's big girl drawers, a Spanx, and everything, right? And so we have to comb through. I had to do it too, to comb through and say, why do I feel this way about this particular individual or that particular individual? I admire them, but why do I still feel this way? You want to make sure your admiration is not connected to a sense of comparison. Yeah. You also want to make sure that your watch, your watch is not coming from an eye of, what's next? I'm not doing my best to, okay, I see her doing her thing. She has charged me to go even harder, right? Not because she's going hard and getting results, but because I see she's not stopping. So here's the thing. Tend to your own garden. Tend to your own garden. Are we clear on that? Can we tend to our own gardens? All right. So that's good. I'm going to look and see, are there any questions or comments? Now, when this is on when I upload this to YouTube, you won't have this ending piece, but just want to make sure. And the reason why this surfaced is because a lot of times the crime is happening with women who don't even know the other woman. You don't even know the purpose of why she does what she's doing. You don't even, most of the time, it's not even somebody that you really know like that. It'll happen and they do it to you because they don't even know you. So just to think somebody's competing with you and they don't even know you, and not competing from a place of, see here, friendly competition is when we are in the race together and we are just, listen, I'm you're charging me, I'm moving forward. You're not stopping, I'm not stopping. You running, I'm running, right? So there's the friendly competition that's in business. That's just in life, period, right? But when there's the competition where it cuts, and the competition where it criticizes, the competition where it downs and takes away, when it's something that subtracts from a person, that's when you have to really watch out, right? Like I said, we don't know. You can be competing with a woman who just went through a divorce, and this thing that she's creating, this event that she's having, it's not so much. So what if she's having an event? Y'all know each other and she's having an event the same weekend you're having an event. Big deal. How about she needs to have that event? How do you know that she's not hosting that event so that she could still pay for her kids' tuition because she just went through a divorce? How do you know she's not having that event just so she can be surrounded around good people, because at this point in time, she's been so beat down and dragged out? So we have to pay attention to not so much why is so-and-so doing something, more so how can I support them in doing that? That's where the bigger draws come in. So even if someone thinks about competing with you, you say, and I share this at Secure the Bag. You say, all right, so how can I help you do you? They're like, what? The person who's competing with, what? Yeah, how can I help you do you? So you got your thing going on. How can I help you do you? I hit somebody with that so bad. They had this. So I was doing the Activate conferences. And every year I was doing the Activate conferences. Activate, don't procrastinate. Activate, don't procrastinate. Well, baby, somebody that I actually was, connected to via social, she said she's having her Activate, don't something event. And I said, so then I went and I said, oh, so not only did she start having the conference and using the same Activate logo, my logo on it, she also blocked me so I can't see that she was using my stuff. So I said, cool, because I'm cool. At this point, when you build a bigger brand and you're confident in your stance and position, listen. But anyway, so I reached out to her and I said, congrats. I see that you are hosting your Activate something conference. How can I support you? Man, she almost fell out, started crying on the phone. And there was a whole nother conversation we had, but because people don't expect that. They don't expect that. Their lack of creativity, their lack of sitting down and asking God, what is it that they need to do? What are they called to do? And really standing by it, not just using that. Well, God told me to. God didn't tell you what. God did not tell you to swipe my website, right? God did not tell you, you know what I'm saying? To go, so but the point here is that, if you even think for an inkling, you have somebody that's competing against you, you come from heart space. You come, put your big girl drawers on, and how can I support you? How can I help you do? Because here's the thing. This world is big. And if they can impact and support their portion of the world, and you can impact and support your portion of the world, or let's stick to the theme. If they can feed their people with what's in their garden, and you can feed your people with what's in your garden, and maybe they cross promotion because maybe they like what's in your garden, you like what's in their garden. And it makes things flow a whole lot easier. So, let's just stay focused. Yes, compete, but don't compare. Yes. All right. Let's see what else is happening here. Gardening isn't easy. I only have time for my own. Absolutely. This is why I always have to remind myself what God has for me is for me, and what God has for you is for you. And just to even go on that point, what God has for us, and he says he doesn't favor one over the other, right? So if you see one of your sisters winning in an area, you could say, "Ooh, if that gate is open," right? So we got to look at that like, "Ooh, that gate is open in that area. Oh, contracts is happening for my sisters." Now we know what to pray. God, put me in position to get the contracts that align with my business. So when we see our sisters winning, understand that is, like in the church, they'll say that's a prophetic word over the house, right? So when you see your sisters winning, take that as a message that is what's dropping right now in the atmosphere. There was within your network. So there was time where everyone in my network was getting some TV. I said, "Oh, that's you dropping it like that? It's dropping like it's hot like that on my sisters." God, align me with the right message, the right individuals, and the right networks so that I can share my message as well. And guess what happened? God honored my request because I was right on time. I wasn't wasting time to see, well, what they saying. I could have been on there and said it better. What's she talking about? That sounds like a quote that I would say. No, I was like, oh, that's how it's working now? Government contracts? Okay, God, put me in position, help me to align myself so that I can also obtain government contracts if that's what's in this vision. Is there a government contract that would appreciate the services that I provide? If so, help me get into position so that can happen. Sometimes we just need our eyes to be open to realize that the garden is growing. And it's more than just this one aisle, this one field. Right? Because we've been so many places and we do so many things, we don't even realize that we have a whole field that's growing in a whole nother state or in a whole nother market. So when you stay focused on your garden and tending to your garden, you're really allowing God to just use you. And listen, tell him, open my eyes. What am I not seeing? Because if I'm seeing it for her, I know I need to be seeing it for myself. How can you show me how to take my eyes off of her and put them on myself? Off of how she's winning and realize that I need to catch it. I need to catch it. I need to run around the house. When my sisters is winning, I am running around this house. I'm like, God, thank you. Bless her. But that's a message. It's letting me know if it's not for me, may open up the doors for my clients so that they can enjoy what's coming down and what's dropping in this business arena for personal development. We got to know how to talk the talk. They got this song, walk it like I talk it. Walk it like I talk it, right? Walk it like I talk it. So we got to know how to talk it and walk it at the same time. If not, you be sitting there with your one little orange and your cup wondering why she done made apple pies, apple juice, apple truffles, apple cream, apple lotion, You wondering why you ain't growing nothing because you too busy watching her mend and tend to her garden, extract oils. She doing the most. She done got apple lotion, apple cream, apple lipstick, and you wondering why you just still cutting oranges on the side of the road. No, stay focused. God, if it's in the air and you dropped it, that means I can receive it. If it's your will, let's make it happen. Put me in position. Open my eyes to seize it. Maybe I don't know that you've already given me access. Checking in. We got to check in. We have to check in. Let me see. How long have I been? Apple lip balm. Exactly. How long have I been on here? Because I don't want to keep you too long. I think I got a client call. I'll chime in later on. Is that okay with y'all? I will chime in later on. If you want to we go over this topic and discuss it. And maybe if some of you want to hop on and come on live with me, let me know. But let's change how we think about this thing. Yeah? Let's change how we think about this thing. How we think about the way that we're tending to our garden, tending to our business, tending to our life, tending, period, to what we are creating. We make these things too deep. We get way too deep. All right. Robin got this saying. She say deep and unproductive. Is that how it goes, Robin? Deep and unproductive. We get way too deep. So let's get out of being deep. It's not that serious. If it's in the air, we can grab it. And so let's go for it. If she's winning, you winning. And the only way that you'll really see that you're winning is when you seize that opportunity in that moment and you ask for it. You haven't been asking for whatever reason. So let me hop on to my client call because they're still here waiting. And I will hop back. All right.